Hello friends, and welcome to the Season 16 Treaty United Building a Nation recap. If you do enjoy these, of course, drop a like on them. It really lets me know you want me to keep doing them, but the support on them lately has been absolutely fan-bloody-tastic. Of course, we're live over on Twitch right now doing the transfer window. We've got ourselves a sizable chunk of money to spend, and we are really looking to spend it. We've got everything set up for a perfect little sign or pass stream. The emotes are ready. It's going to be fun. Of course, the VODs can be caught on the second channel in their entirety as well, trying to get them up as quickly as I physically can with my contracts and stuff, so do check that out as well. Link in the description. Now, obviously, we had a bit of a disappointing time of it last season. It's just the way things go. That's just life, you know? And this year, we're taking a bit more of a holistic approach to things. Some slight changes to the tactics seem to have improved us quite a lot. Very, very minor tweaks. And I think we're definitely on the right track now with something we can work forward to in the future. But there's been some very exciting things happening with other Irish sides this season, so stay tuned for that. Now, youth intake. First youth intake player that we had, well, the only worth talking about player really was George Myler. It was another absolutely abysmal youth intake. I mean, he's good, don't get me wrong, he's fine, but he was the only player really worth talking about at all, and it just sort of continues down this path of us just getting nothing when it comes to youth intakes lately. I think what it is really is that most of the good players, every year or two, or every year, we get one or two players poached by other sides, and I'm guessing that that's all the good players, and they're all big English sides, so there's really little we can do. We don't even get a chance to get our players in our youth intakes, so what's the point in them, I suppose? But now, onto some signings, and there's been quite a bit of movement with signings this season, and I think some of them have made a big impact on us. Firstly, a couple of outs. Petr Lucian Sablo has gone back to Dinamo Zagreb for £73,000. I couldn't get him to loan out at any more clubs, and he was going to lose his contract anyway, so unfortunately, he had to leave. He could have maybe stuck around and actually done a job for us, but yeah, he's didn't seem to want to. Another out, of course, is Juan Pablo Chavera, just under £1 million to Independiente Medellin. We've tried retraining him. We had him in a load of different positions, but he just never really found himself a place in this squad in the end. He's 26 now, so back to Colombia he went. We got a little bit of cash for him, and it was all good. Although, good player, though. And the only other out is Ori Jonsson, who you won't even know about, because he only came in at the start of the year. He's gone off to Dundalk for £8,000 because they put a bid in, and we thought, you know what? You have at it, lads. We only paid 30 grand anyway. Now, onto the ins. There's been quite a big chunk this season in sort of two different levels. First up was Pablo Rodriguez. I think I might have showed you him before, but if not, we signed him up a couple of seasons ago, but he's finally joined us. An American international now, right back / ball-winning midfielder here. Really, the idea was to play him as a wing-back, and that's where he has predominantly featured for us when he has this season. He will be homegrown, but we only paid 1.5 million, and he's already worth 5 to 6.8 million pounds. Really top signing. I like this guy a lot. Really nice physicals. Just a really solid player. Next up, for £700,000, was Ahmed Medkali. I think we overpaid for him. He was another one we signed a couple of years ago that's finally joined us. He's on loan at Shelbourne this season, which is the key, but a regretful signing, honestly. Then Fidel Faye, 69 grand. 69 grand from Generation Foot. Fidel Faye came in for. One cap for Senegal already, nearly worth £5 million. So another of these absolutely balling players. Now, he did break his leg and has missed almost the entire season with the broken leg. And as a result, I think that's really stopped his development. I'd like to get him out on loan if I can do, because I think he could smash some goals in given the chance. But of course, with the broken leg through the entire year, had no hope of playing. But 6'5", fast, he's kind of everything. Next up, Malta Steffensen, £92,000 from Punic of all teams. A Danish left-sided player playing for Punic. Very, very odd indeed. But he's come in, he's gone out on loan at Dundalk as well after a loan spell back in Armenia. And again, look at the values on some of these guys we're bringing in for virtually no money. I think he cost 100 and something thousand pounds. He was barely anything at all. Or was it 1.5 million? It was quite a lot. Nope, tell her, like 78 grand. Ridiculous. Next up, Vladimir Danko, £1 million signing from AS Trenčín. The best thing about Danko, other than the obvious, is the fact that he's 6'6", huge jumping reach, amazing defensive attributes, the most aggressive man in Ireland now. Also 3 caps for Slovakia to go on top of that. He cost us £1 million, but he chose to join us over Inter or AC Milan. They had bids on this guy as well, and he chose to join us instead. So that's a real statement for us, bringing in a player of this quality. He's not been our starting centre-back this year, but he's still played 23 times, 5 goals, 2 assists as well. Really like him, strong player for the future. And again, the values are just amazing. Next up, Juan Ho Diaz, or Jonjo Diaz as we've been calling him. A £500,000 signing from Real Madrid. We were a bit desperate at the time to try and find some wide player options. And Diaz has done okay this season, like 22 games starting, 13 goals and 16 assists for him this year. He's had a really good time of it, I would say. And despite the star rating, I think he's been a really solid signing for us this season. He's just done the job when he's needed to. Outscored his XG, created loads of goals. You love to see it. It's been solid. Then there's this guy, Silvio Preoteza, or the Priestess, as we've become to knowing him. Now, the situation with him was very weird. Somehow, we managed to break through the barrier of a red contract screen. We're still not sure how it happened or how we did it, but we managed to push it through. In the end, he's on loan at the moment, and he will be for another year, but he will be joining us permanently at the end of that loan. I think the fee is like £4 million. Now, he's a bit of a weird one in that he started off quite solid. He 19 goals for us this season in all comps, 4 assists as well, which is solid. we like that. But the problem with him is when we originally started off, we were playing 2 strikers, as you would have seen last season. However, we've since changed the tactics again, and in our new system, he does not really suit this system anymore, and I suspect it's because of the comes deep to get ball trait. I think once we get rid of that, hopefully get him a bit quicker, he could be a fantastic signing for us through the middle. But of course, it's going to take some doing to displace Ahmed Doran. It still will. We also picked up this lovely man, Lyuben Mihov, 30-year-old Bulgarian goalkeeper. Now, it's not my normal types of signings, but El Barto was giving me cause for concern, so I decided that maybe we'd try something. And when we spotted this guy at Levski, he was already a Bulgarian international. We felt it was the right deal at the time. £2.9 million was the fee, and he's been really, really stable. I really have enjoyed his work. I mean, you can see that an average of a 7.41 in the league, 7.2 in the Champions League. He puts up good numbers for a goalkeeper, and has generally speaking been a lot better than El Barto currently, anyway. And I think it just gives Barto a chance to be out of the limelight, learn his craft a little bit, still get games for us, but not as regularly thrown in, and allow him to develop a little bit more, and just have someone in the meantime. So Mihov, really happy with him. Then we had Marko Vucatic, £250,000 signing from Mladost. Again, he's out on loan as well, but again, just solid players for the farm. Again, look at the values on these guys. I also picked up Amad Diallo for 160 grand from Manchester City. Not my normal type of signing, I grant you, and he's on a decent whack of change, but when the opportunity came to get a player of this quality for 160 grand from Man City, he's still playing international games as well. I thought, you know what, it's probably worth it even with the large wage just to give us a bit of quality. And you know what, 9 goals, 6 assists, he's been solid, if not spectacular, for us so far. And I'm fine with that. He's not been playing every game, obviously, but he has such high natural fitness that he's just brilliant. Another one for the loan farm, Santiago Ortiz, £200,000 from Atletico Nacional. He's gone out on loan to Sligo Rovers. Another of these, £275,000, Duje Mikulic from Dinamo Zagreb. Now he's out on loan at Shamrock Rovers, unfortunately. It's a shame, but they were the only one that bid on him. He looks solid for the future, maybe. And then yet another one of these, we've got Milutin Glucevic from Radnitsky, £300,000 signing. Right back one for the loan farm. Couldn't get him loaned out this season, sadly. But again, look at the values on these guys upon joining us. We are just making money hand over fist if we can start getting some of these guys. Either we sell them for big cash, or we can get them out on loan to other Irish sides, and they can develop brilliantly. And I mean, he's already developing quite nicely this season, despite not playing. And the last of the bunch is Davor Yovertich, a 19-year-old Serb. He was 18 when he joined, so he'll be a homegrown player. But for £2.7 million, I just saw a lot of things about him that I really, really liked. And he has had some game time this season, albeit only the 7 appearances in total, 7 starts, 2 off the bench. But 3 goals, 2 assists. Definitely could have done a little bit more than that, but he's still young, and getting some game time in the first team this season was key. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to loan him out, because we do need some more quality in that central mid zone. One of the areas we'll definitely be focusing on in this particular transfer window. But still, I think we've done really, really solid business in this window too. But I think in the next window is where the real business can be done, because we'll have more money, and that's really, really important. Now, in terms of the loan farm this season, it was 28 players out on loan this year, and I think we're getting there. Every year, it's slightly more, and that makes me very, very happy. Now, obviously, I had to make a different version of the save slightly in order to do this, because I've played a little bit further ahead. But nevertheless, we get almost all of these guys back out on loan again next season too. So Demiri was out on loan at Dundalk and had an unbelievable season. 4 goals and 8 assists, but look at the average rating. Guillermo Salgado for St. Pat's, 25 goals for them on loan. Vucatic with 5 there for Dundalk. Mikulic was really stable at the back for Shamrock Rovers. Halalai was back out on loan. You can just see that it's just a lovely big plethora of players that are out on loan this year at other Irish sides doing the business. Tobias Vigas played 47 games this year for Dundalk, which is mad. You might also notice that Jan Vosterek went on loan to Benfica. They put a bid in. They were going to pay us loads of money for it, and I decided, you know what, let's do it. Get him some game time out on loan, see if he comes back a slightly better player as well, since he'd already qualified as a homegrown talent. Just the 1 goal for Benfica, sadly, and he's underperformed a little bit there. But I do still think there's a really solid player there, and I look forward to welcoming him back in the middle of next season and see if he's just improved enough to the point where he could really do a job. But I'm a little bit concerned about him, if I'm honest. Still, though, the loan farm is thriving. Right, onto the league. Should be fairly straightforward, and it was exactly that. I mean, just complete whitewash, except for the one time that we still managed to lose. Every year. Every single year. You could see again, after that, just complete domination. We did lose the cup final actually to Dundalk on penalties in the end, which didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but was still kind of funny. Also, we had a Howcroft testimonial in there too, in which Emmett Doran scored 7 goals because ED7. But yeah, Howcroft's testimonial, really nice to see some of the players that came back for that game. When you look at our starting lineup here, we had Rakov was back, Tunchel was back, Gavin Osborne was back, Roy Galvin obviously played, Andrea Mazzia returned to the lineup as well. It's just nice to see some of these guys back. We've also got the Barry Cunningham testimonial coming up today on the stream, so that's going to be kind of fun. I don't know who's going to come back for that one. Imagine if Juliet rocked up. But you could see, comfortable, won the league, fairly straightforward, but again, that one defeat just kind of irks me, man. But in the end, 101 points, 104 goal difference, standard stuff. I still can't believe once again we've managed to lose a game in there. Bray Wanderers as well set a record for the worst defence ever, and only 6 points on the board all season. They did win a game though, in their credit. Dundalk Dundalk on the final day of the season managed to sneak second spot away from Shamrock Rovers, thank Christ, to allow them to qualify for the Champions League again. Unfortunately, Bows bottled it entirely and ended up finishing 6th. They were the second best side statistically this season, and they came 6th. With a positive goal difference as well. So yeah, massively ashamed to not have them in Europe next year, as they've been one of our bright sparks lately. You saw what they did last year in Europe, it was fantastic. But at least Dundalk are the ones that are in the Champions League, because they are stepping things up for us now. Really looking like the team that could finally start to become that Mulder-like team that we had before, and really take us to the next level. You'll also notice in the league here, Thijs Vries, 20 goals and 15 assists. He has been somehow even better than last year. And Espen Falkenhorst with 16 league assists from right side. Incredible scenes there. Mate Spack as well. Also excellent work from them defensively. Really, really pleased with that. Drogheda, of course, won the playoff 5-0, so they will stay up. 9th place almost always stays up now. And I expect that whoever gets the 10th, whoever won the second division, which I'll just show you now, was an absolute whitewash again. Shelbourne won it by 25 points in the end. They'll get relegated hard next year, because that's just how it is, because of the way that there's the money disparities, sadly. Basically, everyone who's down here, you're pretty much down here forever. I'm looking at you, Farps. But midway through the season, we did make a slight tactical tweak, which I'm going to quickly just show you. And it's a relatively simple thing. We were obviously playing the 2-striker system last time, and I decided that, given what I'd seen briefly when I tested things out with Tromsø about having the double CMAs in the midfield, we thought we'd give it a go for a couple of games and just see how it would work. It looked outrageous. The only other change I made, though, was to go with supporting on both sides. Now, what I've actually done now in the new tactic, which you'll see on stream, is we're actually using wingers on both sides now, because it seemed to create a better chance. The idea really is to have this sort of pillar of attacking threat through the middle of the pitch, and everyone else just kind of supporting that, with the exception of Ackman. I think that's the only other change we really made to it, apart from that, and it's got a higher tempo to it now, because we're a higher quality team, and it seems to have made a big difference for us. The games are more fun to watch, and we just look better overall, and it seems to be getting much more out of our talent at this point. Right then, Europe. Now, obviously, we had no Europe after Christmas, so that was sad. And in addition, with us sort of dropping off a little bit, we actually ended up not getting the bye this time, and so had to do the third round qualifying. But it was around about here where I changed the tactic. It was this game here was the first time I changed the tactic. 7-0, 5-0, and then we went and beat FK Sarajevo 8-0 away from home, which I know they're not a great side, but 8-0 at this round is still outrageous for us, really. And then a 5-0 against Bows in the league. You could see that we went through a spell where I think we scored 5 or more in every game for like 6 in a row. It was outrageous. Then a 5-0 victory in the home game for a 13-0 trashing in the third qualifying round. And then it got even better. 6-1 victory away at Malmo. This is where we went, right, yeah, this is probably the tactic for us, because you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row where we scored 5 or more. Outrageousness. And then we drew 0-0 with Dundalk next. But ignore that. And then in the second leg, a 3-0 victory, putting us through in the playoff round by 9-1 over Malmo. A team that we'd sort of struggled past, sort of scraped through a couple of years ago, and now we're suddenly beating them 9-1. We were definitely on the right track. However, we were handed quite a tough Champions League group with Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, and Stade Rennais of France. So we felt like third was definitely on the cards in that group, but just wondered what else we could maybe come up with. You never know. But we knew that we couldn't have the Nice situation from last year happen. That was the key. And first game in the group, a 2-1 defeat at home to Bayern Munich. Very, very unlucky. We were denied a stonewall penalty in the 90th minute of this game. The Bayern Munich player just comes through, sides our player over, nowhere near the ball, and it wasn't given as a penalty, which is extremely frustrating, as it could have definitely bailed us out a 2-2 draw here, which would have been really something. But Thijs Vries got us a goal, which was nice. But then most importantly, we went away to France and got the victory by a 0-0. Could have had any number of goals in this game, but thankfully just got the result over the line. Then again, we did win against Nice away from home last time. It was the home game that screwed us. But yeah, 1-0, important win. But then sadly we lost 1-0 at home to Atletico. It was a dreadful game. The only highlight of the match was Atletico's goal from a corner. It was proper Simeone ball, and it was 1-0, unfortunately. Neither side deserved to win this game. But then we pulled off an absolute bloody miracle away at Bayern Munich. Silva gave them the lead right before half-time. Alaku equalised moments later before Wahid Fagir put them back in front. But then the donut with a rocket after 78 minutes got us an equaliser and a 2-2 draw away at Bayern. And you can really see this season against some of the bigger sides. Admittedly, this game, they were definitely much better than us. We're not getting beat by anywhere near the same amounts. We're looking much, much more on pace with some of the bigger sides in this, even if the results aren't quite there. But luckily, on the final day, Thijs Vries and the donut, another couple of goals for those two, dispatched Stade Rennais, and that was enough to see us qualify from our group in third spot, which is kind of what we expected in the end anyway, and we got the job done. Thank Christ for that. As you can see, 7 points on the board. The only way it really could have been a bit better for us is if we'd somehow beaten Atletico and then lost to them on head-to-head, so we got the maximum amount of points possible. But it is what it is. We come third in our group, we get ourselves through to the knockouts of the Europa League, and we will be playing Red Star. And that is more like it, my friends, because there's not that many scary sides in the Europa League after Christmas, honestly. There's only really a couple that I'm actually that scared of. So I think we could go really deep in the Europa League this season and maybe even get to another final. And with the fact that we're losing the final from 5 years ago this season, it's very imperative that we have a very good season. And that, of course, now brings me on to, well, the other Irish sides. This is where things take a bit of a turn for the unbelievable. Firstly, Dundalk were able to get past CSKA Sofia of Bulgaria. You'd expect them to win that tie. That said, they did actually lose the home game by 2-1. Luckily, they won 3-0 in Bulgaria and were able to progress to the next round. So that was good. Almost would have preferred them to drop down into the Conference League so that they could have had a better run there, because I think they could have done well, but, you know, let's face it, they were always probably likely to win that. But then, live on stream this was as well, they followed it up with a 2-0 victory and a 3-0 victory over PAOK to win 5-0 on aggregate against the Greek side and qualify for the playoff round of the Champions League. They were this close to the Champions League group stages. I say this close because they went and did it. They won a home and away against Besiktas and qualified for the group stages. That, for me, feels ahead of schedule. I couldn't believe that. They got very fortunate draws, I suppose. But then again, last season, Besiktas beat them 4-1 on aggregate to knock them out of the Conference League qualifiers. So to get the revenge in this particular fashion was outrageous. So Dundalk into the Champions League group stages and Champions League proper. Could not bloody believe it. This is where things get ridiculous. They were this close to actually qualifying in third place from this group. I couldn't believe it. They lost 2-0 to Chelsea on the opening day, but lasted until the 84th minute, and then lost their second game at home against Valencia. And we kind of thought, okay, well, they're clearly not good enough for this level, which we kind of already knew, as they were then then, though, they got a 2-2 draw at home against Milan. Mental. Insane. They got in front in this game twice and eventually sadly threw it away. Then they lost to Milan, but had a red card in that one. Not a huge surprise. But then they took a 0-0 draw against Chelsea. Unbelievable to take a 0-0 draw against Chelsea. And then in the worst possible habit, on the final day, they were 1-0 up against Valencia going into the 90th minute of the match, or the 89th minute in this game, and conceded the equaliser. If they'd have won at Valencia, they would have come third in this group and qualified for the knockouts of the Europa. And they would have got quite a favourable tie. I think they would have played against, I can't remember who they would have played against, but it's a relatively easy draw. Big shame, but the fact is they still got 3 more draws, which massively helped us out in Europe. Now the others. Bows, of course, got their standard bye into the playoff round. Unfortunately, they were beaten by AGF and dropped into the Conference League group stages. Not that that's a huge surprise. In the Conference League qualifiers, St. Pat's comfortably dispatched Mezhiko Vejdi of Hungary before being knocked out, sadly, 5-2 by Aberdeen. And unfortunately, Drogheda were knocked out by CSKA Moscow. But they did actually beat CSKA at Head in the Game Park. They actually beat them 1-0. Or was it away from home? I think it might have been, well, away from home, as much as it ever can be. Still, what a result. But sadly, of course, they'd both gone out at that point. So that left us, of course, with us and Dundalk in the Champions League, which you already saw, and Bohemian in the group stages of the Conference League. And then this happened. They actually qualified from their group with Spurs, Bohemian, obviously, Aberdeen and Kukesi. It was a great start for them. Got a 2-0 victory away in Albania. Spurs obviously beat Aberdeen, and then obviously Bohos were beaten by Spurs in their home game. Aberdeen, of course, won, and it kind of put us into a similar pattern. We just didn't think they were going to be good enough there. Particularly as in the next round of fixtures, it was 2-0 to Aberdeen. Very, very comfortable. Spurs win again. And then their big chance really was to see if they could beat Aberdeen at home, and they did not manage to do that. A 1-1 draw at home to them, of course, as Spurs win again. They then at least did the business at home against Kukesi with a 5-0 victory, certainly bringing them back into the action, but it was still such a tough ask, as Aberdeen did at least lose at home to Spurs. And then this happened. Final day of the thing. Aberdeen lost to Kukesi from Albania, and Bows managed to get a 2-2 draw away at Tottenham. I couldn't believe it, and that was enough to see them qualify. That single point away at Spurs saw them qualify for the knockouts of the group for the Conference League, where they'll play off against Malmö. You just never know what they could do against Malmö. And in case you're wondering, it would have been Braga that Dundalk would have faced off against. Now, bear in mind, Braga were knocked out by Besiktas, who Dundalk beat. So I feel like if Dundalk had got through, they could have had a chance at qualifying for the next round as well. But still, really positive signs, because coefficient-wise this season, we're at 6.8. And we're only just done the group. Well, after the group stages, we're already at 6.8 points. Literally our best year for like 3 or 4 seasons now. And we've still got 2 sides left in Europe as well. And we have got a really solid run, potentially. So I think this could be the year that we actually do get fairly close to that 10 points maybe. And at least don't fall too far. But we are still going to fall quite far. And that's the biggest downside here. In that you'll notice that Switzerland will go above us. Serbia and the Czech Republic at the moment are all going to be leapfrogging us as a result of having really good seasons. And that's going to drop us out of those automatic Champions League spots. We're going to lose a European place if we're not careful, and I don't really think there's a lot we can do about it, because even if we went on a mad run, maybe we could get above Greece and Belgium, but I think it's a massive ask for us to pull ourselves back to a position where we could not lose anything this year. But it would still give us a lot to build on, and I think we're really on the right track now, and it feels like onwards and upwards. There's always going to be little blips. It just happens, right? As for our transfer budget, £80 million, 184k in wage budget. It's all looking pretty solid. That should give us enough money to sign some players. Now, the one downside we do have is that we're no longer considered for okay finances. What? That's worrying. I think it goes back to secure in a minute, but that's still concerning. And that makes me think that we could have the problem of a board selling one of our players out from underneath us. They give us a lot of money to strengthen the squad, and then take players from us in the same breath. It's stupid, but it is what it is. We have moved into our new ground as well, which you'll of course see. It's been extended as well, so that again will be a new thing too. And the reputation of the club has now increased as well. I just thought I'd show you statistical outliers this season. Emmett Doran, 37 goals this year. Thighs Freeze, 30 goals and 24 assists. 54 goal contributions for throws and thighs this year. 19 for Prioteza, 10 goals and 24 assists in all comps for Espen Falkenhorst. Juan Ho Diaz in there as well. Millie with a decent record. The Donut with 14 goals. That's in like half a season as well. Just an insanely good time of it. Best average players in the team, of course, Ackman right up towards the very top. He's worth 30 odd million pounds now. He may not last at the club much longer because of contract problems. Wanted 70 grand a week and I couldn't give it to him, and he's only got 1 year left, so that could be an issue for us. But the plans going into next season really are, we want to go as deep as possible in the Europa League, and I feel like we've got a strong enough squad and a strong enough tactical setup now with the right draws that we could go all the way, or at least go very deep to the point where we can get a decent amount of coefficient out of it. Hopefully Bose can get through one round. If they beat Malmö, God, that would be enormous. It's annoying that Dundalk had that moment because they could have been in here too, and that would have been massive for us as well. The points we'd have got from that would have been huge. But you can definitely start to see that Irish sides are definitely not getting, they're not whipping boys anymore. Dundalk are very much a competitive side that can do stuff in the group stages of other competitions, and even did so in the Champions League. That's outstanding. The amount of money they'll get from that is going to be enormous for them next season, and might be the step that allows them to start really challenging for other trophies, maybe even. You just never know. That's the thing. It's going to really allow them to take that step. So we're going to be spending that money over on stream right now. Do join me for that. If you have enjoyed this, I realise it's been a slightly shorter one, but sometimes they have to be, then drop a like. That would be absolutely spectacular. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That'd be gorgeous too. I stream on Twitch right now, which is what we're doing. So I will see you guys over there in a second, and I'll see you guys in a week or so for the Season 17 recap. Hopefully, I'm come bearing good news. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.